Hey there folks, my name's Joel, but I go by Gino on the internet. Right now I'm working on an incremental game where you just type the word incremental, but I actually don't have that much to show on that front right now. But there's a secret that I've been keeping, and I think maybe it's time for me to come clean. I need to tell you about my darkest game dev secret. The year is 2023. My cousin, who's not actually my cousin, hit me up like, hey, you make games, right? Can you give me one of your old games so that I can submit it for my final project? Like any respectable game dev, I obviously hit him with the no. But then something stirred inside me and I ended up saying, I could probably make you one from scratch though. So he slid me his project brief and he was in some kind of multimedia class. I can't remember the details for the project fully, but it was something along the lines of present a premise or a claim or like a problem and then use your chosen medium to explore it. It didn't have to be a game. Like some of the suggestions were like related to mocap or some like simulations or something. So I decided that we would explore how important game feel, aka juice, is in video games. If you're watching this video, there's like a 96.333 recurring % chance that you already know what game feel is. If you don't know what game feel is, it's that juice that makes games feel good to play. It's the difference between this and this. Now, obviously, we can't compare Pong and Lethal League. You know, they're different games, but both are essentially games where you hit a ball back and forth. So I needed a game idea that could be made quickly because I only had like 2 or 3 weeks, I believe. So after a little bit of brainstorming, I decided to make a simple dodgeball game where you're just running around a circle, trying not to get hit. Pretty straightforward. Once I decided on that part, it was time to write the code. Oh, well, that was fast. I surprisingly had the game up and running pretty fast, actually. This was back when ChatGPT was like fancy and new, and everybody was saying, oh yeah, I'm like using it to code, whatever. So since I'm bad at math, I actually tried using ChatGPT to code like some of the more mathy parts for me, like spawning turrets around a circle evenly, like the stuff that needs trig and cosines and whatnot. Back then, Gen AI actually seemed like fairly exciting. Nowadays, I'm not sure if I'd really use AI in my games. Mainly because of the backlash that it gets and and the other stuff. How do you feel about it? I'm genuinely curious. This isn't engagement bait or anything, unless with the game up and running, basically, I could focus completely on, I don't know, I should cut that, shouldn't I? With the game up and running, I could focus solely on juice. And the first thing on my list is turning my capsule boy into an actual character. I didn't have much time, and pixel art is what I'm most comfortable and consistent with, so I busted out that A sprite and I got to work. Come here. Let me give you a pro tip real quick. If you're like me and you're not much of an artist, an easy hack to make your art feel a little bit more professional and coherent is to use a color palette. It's not cheating. If you don't know color theory, get yourself a color palette. I grabbed my palettes basically solely off of lowspec.com. I honestly feel like for non-artists, the more constrained your palette is, the better. So the less colors on your palette, the better. It gives you less room to make terrible choices. Again, nowadays, I'm not really much of an artist, so I basically did the bare minimum here. I did a 4-frame idle, a 4-frame run cycle, a 1-frame hit, a 1-frame dash.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
Well, thank you for asking, Cardi B. A dash happens so fast that players can't even tell that it's just one singular smear frame. Most of the juice that I added for this game was controlled by the code, but this single frame that's all stretched like this is an example of how you can add juice even in your animation. Now that I had a character and not just a capsule, pretty much all I had to do for the rest of this project was just smack on the juice. Shall I share my juice recipe with y'all? Particle effects are super important even though players might not realize it. I made a dust cloud particle effect for footsteps. I made a larger dust cloud particle effect for dashing. I made a particle effect for getting hit. I made a particle effect for catching the ball. I made a particle effect for sweating. Hold on. Did y'all see that?
Look at this. Somebody come look at this.
After you dash, oh, I need a sneeze. After you dash, you start sweating. And then I do a little sweat blast when your dash is off cooldown as a bit of visual information for the player. Tell me that wasn't a 6,000 IQ design choice. And
before you start hating, ask yourself, be honest. Ain't I'm clean, no.
Another staple of game feel is screen shake. Essentially, every game has this in some way, shape, or form. I use screen shake to emphasize events that are significant to the player, such as taking damage, or taking damage, or taking damage. Okay, now, I don't really know what chromatic aberration is well enough to explain it. I just know that it gives this distorted warp effect that I think looks freaking sick. It's also kind of uncomfortable to look at for a long period of time, so I only use it in small flashes. I essentially use it the same way I use screen shake, and I actually pretty much only use the two of them together. So that means whenever I shake the screen a little bit, I'm also adding a little bit of aberration. Squash and stretch is an animation concept where you exaggerate poses. I'm not an animation professor, and I can't teach you animation principles, so you're gonna have to look that one up by yourself. I already added some squash and stretch in my smear frame that I showed already, but I actually also pushed it a little bit further. So in the code, whenever you dash, I actually stretch the character's sprite a little bit. Hit stop. Hit stop is very powerful and very
nice.
But with great power must also come great responsibility. You really should not be overdoing your hit stop. Hit stop is basically exactly what it says it is. When you hit, you stop. Hit stop comes in different forms, but a lot of games use this to add more emphasis to certain moments. We can take Lethal League as an example again, because look at this. That's like 15 seconds of hit stop. And even much bigger games like Smash Bros implement hit stop in some form. Side note, I stumbled across this video while working on this script, and it's actually pretty insightful for anyone interested in adding their own hit stop. My hit stop is not nearly as sophisticated, but it gets the job done. For this game, just like with the chromatic aberration, I pretty much use it in tandem with screen shake, but I use it in less places. For example, I only use it when you're getting hit or when you're catching the ball. This makes getting hit feel more impactful and catching the ball feel
really good.
Yeah, so with that, the game is basically done. I'd like to point out that sound is actually also a big part of game feel, but I didn't really have time to get to it. We can look at Lethal League again for some nice examples of good sound design.
Oh, please don't be glazing me here.
I actually really wanted to add sound. I wanted to try recording. Like, I was gonna buy a dodgeball and like record some sounds, but the professor for this class kept asking him to add things like different colors and music for some reason. So I spent like the extra time that I had adding those things in. Come look at this though. You see how the music slows down when you lose?
Nice.
I also added rounds and upgrades to make the game more fun, because even though I felt like it was nice and juicy, juice can't carry a game alone. So yes, this was my darkest game dev secret. I helped somebody cheat. I trampled all over academic integrity, and I'm extremely disappointed in myself.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay, I'm trolling. I'm kind of trolling. In reality, if you're in school, don't cheat on your projects. I used to be a computer science TA, and like 90% of the time I could tell while I was grading these things that y'all was not writing that code. Y'all don't know what a friggin' pass by reference is. This is computer science 101, okay?
That's suspicious. That's weird.
After this, I went into a game dev slump for a long time, but hey, at least I helped someone get their master's degree. And I feel like that basically means I have a master's degree, you know what I mean?
Nice.
So anyways, thanks for watching my little confessional here. If you made it to the end, bring your face closer to the screen real quick. Come on, don't be shy.
Nice.
I actually jumped to 43 whole subscribers after my last video, so I appreciate all of y'all who subbed. Hey, you know, just a random thought. The number 50 looks really nice, like, you know? Not for any particular reason, just, you know.
Look over there. I'm joking. I'm joking.
All right, so yeah. Hopefully the next video I actually have some progress of my own game to show y'all. But for now, goodbye.